It is the 200 level. Mike Carpenter in the basement studio for our first second half reaction pod of the year. We're warming up for Tuesday. If I don't go to the game Tuesday against Texas Tech, but decided to do one this Friday evening as Illinois is dominating, what do they used to be called? Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast. And of course, Pat Chambers, familiar faces on the sideline for them. Going to see his well-tailored suits and his angry scowl on the sideline again. He had some success against Illinois with Penn State, but not tonight with Florida Gulf Coast. We are going to talk about what we've seen so far. Of course, this early in the year, it is a little bit difficult to make any grand proclamations given the opponents. I will say, this Illinois team is playing with a lot of juice right now, and it is objectively fun to watch. 2 games against subpar competition, understandably, but man, there's some chemistry already, despite some guys not being on the court. We'll talk about that as well. But do me a favor, for those that are coming in, welcome. Hello on this Friday evening. Light up the comment thread with your thoughts so far and your thoughts during the second half, and we are officially underway. So, Kylan Boswell, who had a monster first half. 2, Mirkovic. Keaton Wagler, long 3 from up top. No good, but we will talk plenty about Keaton Wagler. Excuse me, I'll get that pronunciation correct as we go. But the freshman shooting guard, let's call him a 2, even though he handles it quite a bit. And Kylan Boswell, the backcourt has been phenomenal tonight between the two of them. So you know that you have your 1 and 2 slotted into the starting lineup. And no one, I don't think until like a few weeks ago, would have said that Keaton Wagler would be a big part of this team as far as a starting 5 or even 8-man rotation. He was a freshman along with Brandon Lee that we thought, well, let's see what happens. But this is some revelation, and I know it's early, but god dang, the guy looks polished. So Illinois with the ball, their second possession of the half. Kylan misses that badly, but a nice almost put back from David Mirkovic will go the line. So the news at the start of tonight, Tommy, knee injury, not playing. Forgive me if my eyes rolled a little bit, not because of Tommy, but just bad luck. Guy had tonsillitis a month ago. Last year, he had every ailment under the sun. Didn't he have mono? I think he had mono. What the hell was it that he had? They had him out for about 3 weeks. First free throw good for Mirkovic here. So it's 60-27 Illinois. So we see that, and you think, damn it. Are we really going to go through this rigmarole again? Now, he's not wearing any brace on the sideline, at least not visible. He does have sweatpants on. He is standing up, moving around just fine, so you would hope it's precautionary. And Stojakovic is getting some tick, and you can see that there's some game rust on him. I would imagine both play Tuesday night against Texas Tech. There was nothing indicative that this was a serious injury for Tommy, and on a night like tonight, why, even if he got bruised up a little bit, would you bother playing him? You know he is someone that you can slot right in there, and he'll do just fine. Now, an offensive rebound over Big Z, who's had a good game tonight. But I will say, despite the rebounding differential, if there's one bugaboo tonight, I don't think Illinois' rebounding has been that spectacular. Florida Gulf Coast has missed a lot of shots, so the numbers are going to bear out that Illinois is kicking their butt on the boards. Mirkovic, another strong move up and in. He's so good. God, I love watching this guy play. But I will say there's been 11 offensive boards for Florida Gulf Coast, so at least there will be something that Underwood can really go hard before Tuesday night, because there have been way too many second chance opportunities for Florida Gulf Coast that have not really bit you yet because you're just scoring so much. Here's a 3 for Florida Gulf Coast, no good, and a board to Illinois. So Kylan with the ball and 18 to go finds Wagler, who drives it and finds Mirkovic, easy 2. Wagler, great handles, good vision, draws fouls like a senior, but nice little give there for the easier layup for Mirkovic. That shot is up and good from the free throw line for Florida Gulf Coast. So they got a couple buckets so far this half. 65-31, 17-35 to go in the second half. Kylan draws the foul. Team's good at that. Now, when you play better competition, will you be able to draw as many fouls? I'm not sure, but dang if it isn't promising. Got a break here. We're going to, as we get to the first media timeout, get to all the sponsors and everything, but a reminder for those tuning in on this Friday evening. Hello, keeping tabs on the USC Northwestern score, and of course it's tied. Of course, Northwestern tied it up at 7 at USC. God, I'm already dreading that last November Saturday. But this is a basketball podcast, and Tuesday or Wednesday morning or whenever we do that will be as well. Kylan makes the first free throw. So do me a favor for those as we're kind of getting our feet wet with this, as you have thoughts on what you've seen, areas of optimism or concern, which I'm not sure how many there are of those yet. Throw those in there. Kylan misses his second, but it is a 66-31 lead for Illinois with 17:30 to go. Here is Florida Gulf Coast. Boswell, 19 points, 9 of 11 from the line. Steady hand. There's only one really bad sequence I thought he had in the first half at the very end of it with a forced three with 40 seconds left on the game clock. I know you were trying to go 2 for 1, but not the best shot. Then picked up his third foul on the other end. Clearly Underwood not having a problem with playing his 3-foul point guard. Florida Gulf Coast misses that and a board for Big Z. But Kylan, the steady-handed veteran point guard, another easy take. Man, he's a bulldog. And whatever you saw at the end of last year seems to have some carryover. He has been great essentially since March 1st of last year. Timeout from Pat Chambers, 68-31. Illinois with the lead. I'm going to wait until this under 16 media timeout to get to the sponsors, but my biggest takeaway so far this year has been the amount of juice with which this team is playing, which might seem, okay, well, what do I mean by that? I understand that we are looking at the likes of Jackson State and Florida Gulf Coast, and that to glean that much from it is difficult. However, this team is playing kind of like there's a fire under their butts, and there is a frenetic pace, frenetic but controlled on offense, and I know that'll get forced a little bit against better defenses. And then defensively, there just seems to be this renewed sense of purpose, if you will. I mean, I know it's kind of vague, but if there's such thing as an eye test, and if we can place any value in an eye test, you got to like what you've seen so far, despite not being full-handed in either game. That is without Tommy tonight. That's finally getting a few Stojakovic minutes. And thinking, my God, man, like, we knew the floor would be higher for this team. Or at least I think we thought so because of the age. And that you did have a few guys coming back, unlike last year, which was brand new. So we feel like the floor was going to be higher, but now the question is, how much higher can the ceiling be? And that will emerge throughout this month. But man, it's hard not to go full Kool-Aid drinking fanboy here when you see some of these individual players. But on top of that, you see that there's already a chemistry that appears to exist on the court. So it's been an encouraging start, and we'll react during this half. But Jacob, I see your comment there, and we'll talk about that as we get to the under 16 break, which it looks like that's what this is. So while we are at it, the best way you can support the 200 level is to support our sponsors. That includes Hamilton Walkers in downtown Champaign, Steak, Seafood, and Spirits, my favorite restaurant in Champaign. There's a lot of good ones here, but what sets them apart, 5-star service, 5-star food, but not necessarily 5-star prices. To give you an example, you can get their hamburger and fries for $21. And for any hamburger aficionado, if you've had this at Hamilton Walkers, I mean, I know it's a steakhouse, but it's okay if sometimes you want some comfort food. It is incredible. And part of the reason is it is a scratch kitchen where everything is made in-house. So that's Hamilton Walkers, downtown Champaign, Steak, Seafood, and Spirits. As we go along, I'm going to hit up each sponsor in detail, but we'll remind you that State Farm agent Brian Hansen, online at brianismyguy.com. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend at 217-841-4728. And Owen Builders, LLC, online at owenbuildersllc.com, are our other sponsors. So we'll hit them up in detail as we go. And a miss by Florida Gulf Coast. The question isn't if Illinois can get to 100 points. The question is, can they get to 120? This is just a well-oiled machine already offensively. And, I mean, listen, kudos to, oh, boy, almost a bad pass there, errant pass. Kudos to Tyler Underwood if he is, in fact, the offensive coordinator. And I know that last year, Wagler, it's going to be off of Florida Gulf Coast, but, you know, I made comments in March last year when there was the Merez Johnson transfer, the Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn transfer, Trey White leaves, and you're in that month period where you're like, well, are we even going to be able to field a team next year? And then little whispers coming out of, well, it might be Tyler Underwood. And I still don't necessarily love the coach's son being on the staff in a high position, apparently. However, the proof is in the pudding that they do score a lot of points. And so far, they continue to do that. Now, Mirkovic with a long three doesn't quite make it. This will be tipped out of bounds, and we'll go to Florida Gulf Coast. So not a great possession there. Illinois is not even hitting the three all that well tonight. And I'll dig up the stats here to make sure I'm accurate. But it is something that encourages me, I think, with this team is their ability to draw fouls and get to the line. And that is because not just Boswell, but Wagler apparently, and Stojakovic will be able to do some of this as well. And Mirkovic gets a lot of free throws. I mean, to me, that is just such a safety valve on the nights where you're not making threes. And Wagler, look at that take. This kid, I say, where does he come from? Well, he was the player of the year in Kansas, but not many high major offers. God, I mean, what's the lead here? There's so many individual standout performances, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what if your ceiling truly just is exponentially higher because Brad Underwood made a phenomenal evaluation? Keaton Wagler, what's his NIL you think this year? None of us expected him to be this kind of a player, and he is. A three, no good for Big Z, but a board for Boswell, because why not? He's a stud, and he gets his own board. 2 offensive rebounds on that possession for Kylan Boswell. But, man, an embarrassment of riches it feels like right now, and you aren't even full strength. But I mentioned the three-pointers and how Keaton Wagler is a 72-31 is one such example of how if you aren't hitting threes, that might not be a huge deal for this team. Whereas last year it was feast or famine, and if you weren't hitting threes, good luck and good night. Illinois tonight is 5 for 18 from 3, 28%. They have 72 points with 14:30 to go. From the field, they're shooting 21 of 41, so that's 51%. Now, there is a three there for Boswell, so that gets you to 75. That would be 6 for 19 on the night. And if I were to do some quick math, over 50% of your shots have been from 2. And from those, you're shooting something like 68%, 70% from 2. On top of that, you're 23 of 25 from the line. Okay, so that's how you're getting your points. Now, that won't happen every night when it's not the likes of Florida Gulf Coast. But if you can get to the line 20 times a night, and I think by the time this game's over, it might be 40. If you get to the line 20 times a night, you're going to be in great shape as Boswell draws another foul. And I don't see many reasons why this team with their makeup can't do that when you even have a big like David Mirkovic getting to the line as much as he is. Always a dangerous thing. The fanboy Carp moniker that I have on Twitter really gets tested in the early going. And I see all these new toys. Difference being it's some of the existing toys that you already knew that seem to be playing better. So we got another break here. Illinois just kicking ass tonight. State Farm agent Brian Hansen online at brianismyguy.com. For life, auto, home, business, renters, you name it, Brian is my guy, and he could be your guy as well at brianismyguy.com. While we have this timeout, let's get to the comments section. Jacob asks, Big Ten freshman of the year is going to be Mirkovic. I would tend to agree. I think there's enough polish to his game. I think his size will prevent him from having maybe a dip like I would assume that Wagler will have. And I do assume that Wagler will have a dip. Will it be as violent, well, maybe not the best adjective, but as drastic of a dip as we saw last year with Will Riley? I don't know. Will got out of it in mid-January at Michigan State, but really mid-December through mid-January, 4 or 5 week period, it was rough. So, Jacob, I think Mirkovic is not the odds-on favorite because you have a lot of talented freshmen, but I think there's a consistency to his game and how he's going to fill that stat sheet on what should be a top 3 or 4 Big Ten team that I would feel okay putting a little bit of money on that being the case. So, yes, Mirkovic has impressed me to no end. Who was I talking to? I was talking to my family about this. My mom, dad, and my dad got this really cool award last night for a place that he worked for a long time. So we went down there as a family, and we were talking about, like, is Mirkovic going to be an NBA player? Well, 100%. I don't understand how a guy his size that can shoot the three and that can handle the ball like that won't be an NBA player. And is he a one and done? That is the question. Now, I don't know about that. But this leads me to my next question from Austin. Guys, are we like really, really good? Well, Austin, you're 5th on KenPom already. I would imagine you jump up another spot after tonight because they love efficiency, and this team is efficient. Now, last year, I feel like Illinois got as high as 10th or 9th. And if any of you guys happen to remember last year, where Illinois kind of fit in that pecking order, I think probably after the win at Indiana, for example, we might have found ourselves up there. But I think, Austin, it's a possibility when Mirkovic looks the way he does, and Keaton Wagler, again, where did this come from? A good recruit, but Will Riley Jr. and already kind of starting off hotter. Well, no, Will Riley scored 31 in his debut. What am I talking about? But yeah, so Austin, it is a distinct possibility. And again, on Ken Pom, when you wake up in the morning, you're fifth at worst and probably going to be fourth, maybe third. I don't know. Kylan Boswell, 28 points and 10 rebounds. 28 and 10. There's 13:40 to play in this game. All right, I can do a little play-by-play here before we get back to the comments. Light them up. This is fun. It's 77-31. 13:30 to go. Humrickhouse wants the three. He misses it. So not making his shots tonight. Competent first performance. I'm not saying it's a competence issue, but he's just not making his shots. Was hoping for a little bit of carryover, but we'll see. Missed three from Florida Gulf Coast. Another board from Mirkovic. We'll have to check his possibility for a triple-double. Dan, I'm not sure if you were talking about him or Kylan, but here's a take from Stojakovic. Good body control. The guy is definitely, 6'6", would we say? He's got some height. So he was able to do that in traffic to put Illinois up 79-31. Good to see him getting some tick, knock the rust off. This is another take from Florida Gulf Coast. Nice little shot off the basket or the backboard to make it 79-33 with 12:40 to go. And Wagler running point to spell Kylan. So Wagler finds Mirkovic, top of the key. Mirkovic, one defender, looks like a post. No, they're going to come help, but he does get blocked. Stojakovic wants the three. That was short-armed a little bit. Wagler, I thought walked, but no, he didn't. And I'm going to check the stat sheet here in a bit, and I'm sure I'm going to see that he has gaudy numbers. We'll see if Peacock throws it up here. A very complimentary broadcast, but when Illinois is doing this, why not? 81-33. The spread was 29.5. About what you had before Jackson State, and it looks like another potential 50-point win for Illinois. And not quite a steal. Illinois can't quite corral that. Three-pointer is good for Florida Gulf Coast. 81-36. A friend in our chat thread, well, Kenton's been on this podcast before. He's done second mic with us. He asked what's the teaser, the best teaser action he could have gotten tonight, and I think it was 40.5. Now, of course, he can't bet on Illinois in the state of Illinois, which is unfortunate. I don't know if he went through with that bet or not, but all right. Stat sheet. Let's see here. Keaton Wagler is what I'm interested in. 20 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, 7 of 7 from the line, 0 turnovers. He's a freshman playing his second game, playing significant minutes, high usage role, handling point guard duties at some point. No turnovers. There was a 12, let's say 15-minute period at the start of the first game where he looked like a freshman. And who could blame him? Because he is a freshman. He does not look like a freshman. I mean, physically, I guess a little bit. He's kind of scrawny. But what an evaluation. I mean, if this team goes on to have a great year, and Keaton Wagler would appear to be a big reason why, what a coup from Underwood. I mean, this is not Will Riley, the borderline 5-star, if not 5-star out of Canada, who was either going to be Kentucky or wherever Antigua ended up going. This was someone that did not get nearly the attention and is doing this. Unbelievable. While we have a break here, got to remind you, Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. Give them a call at 217-841-4728 and join their maintenance program. We are part of that, and that means a furnace check every fall, AC check every spring, and as part of that, no overtime or weekend fees and guaranteed, same-day service. It's been great for us. We re-up it every year. Third year that we've been working with Dogtown, we appreciate them, and I can give them my highest recommendation, Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing. All right. A couple more comments here to get to. From Dan, Big Z with a chance for a triple-double. 10 points, 8 boards, 7 blocks. A triple-double with blocks in the mix? That, Dan, would be something. All right, so thanks for that. Sorry, I missed your first one there, Dan. This is from Nathan. Wagler has less turnovers than KJ. Well, a lot of people do, Nathan. But listen, KJ was a special talent, and I think he'll have a long NBA career, whether it's in a starring role or not. And he gave us a lot of good moments last year. Was admittedly frustrating. But there is something about this team in the early going. And again, difficult to say because they're not going to go undefeated, and they're going to have some games where they don't look great, I would assume. But, man, it is very hard to envision that this team is going to have dips like last year. And that alone is a huge relief. Ben Rickhouse makes a 3. It's 84-36. Again, I know Florida Gulf Coast isn't good. But apparently they were better 100 points or so on 100 rankings on KenPom than them. So bad team, not god-awful. Pat Chambers, a former Power 4 coach. I mean, this is just, we'll know more Tuesday. But aren't you going to feel pretty confident? I mean, you should. You look great. 3 from Florida Gulf Coast over the top of the pick. Looks like there was a foul before that. No, it's going the other way. Some moving screen, perhaps. Oh, come on, Peacock. Don't do that. Has anyone else's Peacock, by the way, has the service been, I won't say spotty, but occasionally there's a little lags. It happened for me over the halftime show, happening a few times here in the second half. But nothing egregious. It's good telecast, but I don't know if anyone else is getting that. Anthony, I'll get to yours in just a second here. And, I see. Okay, yeah. Don't know if the connection for you, Anthony, is Peacock or YouTube issues, but 84-36, another foul drawn. This one, Stojakovic gets slapped on the wrist, and Florida Gulf Coast is probably thinking, what can we do? Meanwhile, Illinois with 0 fouls called on them this half, and I think only 4 in the first. I'm pretty sure that 3 of your 4 fouls are from Kylan Boswell, or maybe 3 of your 5. Maybe that's what they ended up with. But Kylan back in the game with 11:16 to go. Yeah, it has been an interesting week because I said on Monday or Tuesday when I talked about Monday's game that it's difficult for me to switch off football and switch on basketball. And I know no one's asking you to do that. It's concurrent. Like, oh, my God, a dunk here for Jaskis. And a nice little give there from Benham Rickhouse. It's 86-36, 50-point lead. Oh, Illinois almost gets a steal. But early going games where you're not playing anyone in particular, you just kind of can sit back and relax and enjoy the game and look at the new pieces and see, okay, try to prognosticate if there's anything that you can't prognosticate. I didn't expect this level of energy from this team. And it's not that I expected them to be flat. But how do you get up for Jackson State? How do you get up for Florida Gulf Coast? These guys are essentially paid professionals now. For Illinois men's basketball, they're all getting compensated to some degree, as they should. Now, with a business-like approach, you're just out there to get the dub, right? But you're seeing this Illinois team like cutthroat so far. And if that's a 50-point win against Florida Gulf Coast, what does that look like against Power 4 competition? I'm not sure. But what had bothered me last year and then the Matthew Meyer year was the everyday guys mantra didn't really hold out all the time. And there were some games where it just felt like Illinois mentally wasn't all there. And this often, for some reason, happens on like Saturday afternoons midway through the Big Ten slog, like USC at home last year or anytime you play Maryland. And I'm seeing here, and I don't know if you can carry that over a 30-game season, but I'm seeing this kind of sense of urgency with this team. And maybe it's the experience, the fact that for some guys, this is their last go-around in college. And also, this leads to a point with Brad Underwood, whether it's an every other year thing or not, this does appear to be the potential second time that he has followed up a disappointing year since he's turned this thing around. It's all relative. But a relatively disappointing year with one that is much improved based on the lessons from the year prior. And what we've seen so far is a team that is older, that is really big, really, really big. That's actually playing some defense. And if that's giving up 55 to Florida Gulf Coast tonight, can that be giving up 68 to Texas Tech instead of 78 or more? You know, I mean, these questions, again, will be answered, but damned if it's not encouraging what you do see so far. All right. 86 to 37. Anthony there in the chat thread. Had to pause for 14 seconds to sync you up, but it worked. Hello from 14 seconds ago. Hello, Anthony. Hello to all those in the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook streams. We got a good little mix throughout the three of them. And just go ahead and throw in any comment that you might have during the game as we're just kind of chatting. This is the trial run for this season's I would assume, mini second half podcast. There will be one coming up. If you recall last year, and the game did not end well, but we had a good time doing it. Illinois played at North. Whoa! Benham Rickhouse with the putback dunk. Is that his second dunk of the night? Well, no, he fed Jaskit. How the hell do you say that guy's name? There's a lot of consonants in there. Could someone give me the pronunciation, the phonetic pronunciation of Jason Jatskis? Maybe I just got it right there. I see that, Jacob. I'll get to that in a second. But if you recall last year, there was a second half pod that we did when Illinois played at Northwestern. This was a December Big Ten game. Kylan with a 3. It is 91 to 40. This same weekend that we're having that, Illinois against Tennessee in Nashville. And we're thinking doing hot ones again for that because we had a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that game turns out better than last year. So 91 to 42, Jack Stiss. Thank you, Jack Stiss. That's hard to Jack Stiss. All right, I'll get it right. 91-42, Florida Gulf Coast on a bit of a break here. Long three is up, and it is good. So it's 91 to 45. A mere 46-point lead from Jacob. Tech is struggling with Sam Houston State, whose KenPom is 2 spots lower than FGCU, excuse me. Yeah, you should be confident going into Tuesday night, Jacob. I would imagine the spread's going to be, 6.5, 7.5? 3-pointer for Big Z, 94 to 45. What, over-under? Are we going to finish with 120 points? What's interesting to me is the over-under will probably still hit over despite Florida Gulf Coast maybe not getting to 60 points. They go over a screen, they get a bank shot. They're laboring for points, showing a little bit more signs of life, but that's all relative when you're still down 47. All right, Kylan back up top to Benham Rickhouse. We got 7:45 to go. This half is just going swimmingly. I love it. Only 2,000 Illinois, 5 on Florida Gulf Coast. They get one on Kylan. They call it charge. And we will go to a TV timeout. Kylan cannot believe it. All right, so do we dare look at the old KenPom and predict what's coming? I don't know, always a dangerous game. But yes, Texas Tech does seem to have expanded their lead. So it is 93 to 65. They were up 10 at half. They've outscored Sam Houston State by 18 in the second. So, listen, they're good. JT Toppin, extremely good. You do hope that for JT Toppin, you have the answer defensively with as much size as you have. But it's a challenge, but it's a game you should win. And I think it's actually fair to talk a little bit about that Texas Tech game. And not that this one's over. Well, yeah, it is over. So, yeah, we can. I think you got to win it. I think you do, but I think you also just have to because this has been kind of a bugaboo for Brad Underwood is the non-conference game at home in December. He tends to do pretty well in the Big Ten December games at home, but not the non-conference one. And that's Tennessee last year. That's Marquette 2 years ago for a team that ultimately made the Elite Eight. I think Marquette did as well. 3 years ago, that was Arizona. Or no, Arizona was 4 years ago when Alfonso Plummer was still here. So 3 years ago, the Matthew Meyer year, God, what would that game have been? Going to check that real quick on KenPom and see. So as I remind myself again, Illinois right now 5th in KenPom. They are above Purdue, and I don't think Purdue did themselves any favors tonight struggling against Oakland. Oakland 171 in KenPom, and they labored to an 87 to 77 win. But last year, Illinois, the non-conference game in December, last year, the loss to Tennessee, you should have won that game. You didn't. 2 years ago, the loss at home to Marquette. 3 years ago, you lost at home. Well, you didn't really have a big home game. You beat Texas neutral site. You beat UCLA neutral site. Arizona in 22. In 2021, did you have a big home game? No. Doesn't appear that you did. Okay, fair. So maybe that is making a mountain out of a molehill. But I think he needs some juice at home. I think they get it. And then as I look at the schedule coming up for this Illinois team and the opportunities that they have in front of them, I think the way that these non-conference games, the marquee non-conference games in November shaped up, actually work out really well for this team. You get Texas Tech at home. Now, Ken Pom is predicting that as a 6-point win against a Texas Tech team they say is the 13th best team in the country. Alabama, 24th. And that is a team with a lot of new pieces under Nate Oates that is still kind of figuring themselves out. And you get them a week after Texas Tech, 8 days after that. So this is an opportunity to get 2 marquee wins under your belt in November. And then the rest of them are just, bye games, essentially. So that would potentially, if you win those 2 games, get you to 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 7-0. Should be right there for this team going into Connecticut on Black Friday. And that right there is big old matzo ball. That is a very good Connecticut team that is already 3rd in Ken Pom and has a chance to do UConn things under Dan Hurley. Tennessee, 8 days after that. So you get a long break after Connecticut. But yeah, it starts Tuesday. I think that this is a very encouraging start for many reasons. A little bit of sloppiness here in the last minute or so for Illinois. But a very encouraging start that you think, okay, well, if you were to extrapolate what you're seeing against better competition, I think there's a few things you can. I mentioned the size. I mentioned the age and experience of this team. I mentioned the fact that you get to the line a lot. And while you won't get there as much against better teams, you will still get there even if the threes are not falling. The threes have not really been falling tonight. So you did revert a little bit. And it just tells me, man, against good teams, if this team does hit 35% from 3, they're going to win. But if they don't, unlike last year, are they going to lose by double digits? And I'm not sure if that's the case anymore. So that should be good for another few wins. Last year's team, regular season record, they ended the regular season with a 20-11 record. That was a 6 seed. The year before that, they finished the regular season with a 23-8 record. Now they went 26-8 after winning the Big Ten title, tournament title, and another 3 for Big Z. God dang. So they got a 3 seed. Now, can this team win 25, 26 games? I don't know. You might need a few in the Big Ten tournament for that, but I do think that by just winning a few more games, you're right back on that potential 3 line instead of a 6, and then you have the advantageous matchup in the first 2 rounds. So we'll see. I mean, God, we're talking about that, and it's November 7th. We're talking about that, and Tomislav Ivisic is not playing because of a knee injury, and you hope it's nothing bad. And Andrei Stojakovic hasn't gotten a ton of minutes tonight, though he is getting a little bit more down here in the second half. And he does look rusty. But you feel pretty good about things. Yeah. Kind of limping a little bit to the finish line here. So anyone that got the teaser for 40.5 is probably sweating it a bit. It's just 97-56. It's almost like a running clock scenario where I'm not seeing the same crispness from Illinois, and you're seeing a little bit more juice from Florida Gulf Coast. Stojakovic, not a great pass to Wagler. Gets knocked out of bounds. They'll stay with Illinois with 6 to go in the shot clock. But yeah, a rough little 2-minute stretch here. Can you really be angry? I don't know. I mean, God dang it, guys. You let a 51-point lead get down to 43. Ridiculous. 41. Sorry. Florida Gulf Coast was, according to the telecast, predicted to go 4th in the Atlantic Sun. Now, I don't know what that really means. But they aren't god-awful. Like, Jackson State just didn't look like they belonged in the gym. Florida Gulf Coast has some size at a few positions, and they've had a few plays tonight where you say, whoa, I didn't have one moment with Jackson State where I said, whoa, that player just made something that a player on a Big Ten team would make. So a mild step up in competition. Stojakovic misses the free throw, and Big Z just launches Florida Gulf Coast guy down. Chill out, Big Z. You're up 41. Let's not start yapping. Yeah, just kind of a icky end here. All right, 5:17 to go. Got to even make it to the end of the game. I mean, what more is to say there? Are we looking at a replay here? What's going on? God dang. Big Z's got some attitude to him, which I don't mind that, but like he don't do stupid stuff. Looks like he's going to talk to his brother. I'm not really sure. We're under review here. We're limping to the finish line, everybody. But I don't know if that necessarily negates some of the better stuff that you've seen today for this team. Stojakovic missed that one badly too. God dang. So you got to wonder, how much did he even practice? I mean, from most indications, he was not playing with the team all that much in October, if at all, with that ankle injury. So you wonder, how rusty are you? Now, Kylan is talking to Big Z and telling him to chill. Looks like they might get a flagrant one here. Hard to say. And Brad is talking to the refs. Yeah, I don't miss Pat Chambers in the Big Ten. Who is even the Penn State coach right now? They went from him to Shrewsbury. Was Shrewsbury there before Pat Chambers? I'm losing track. Was it Chambers and then Shrewsbury? I think that's right. And then whoever's there now, Shrewsbury being at Notre Dame. All right, 97-56, a common foul, so not flagrant. Hooray. FGCU with the ball, 5 minutes to go. And another take up and a foul on the floor. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it to the end of this game. It's starting to just get sloppy. So here's the long and short of it. Illinois has the potential to be very good. I think the floor is for sure higher than before. The question is, how high is the ceiling? And that is why Tuesday is going to be a really good early test in a game that they should win. And they will be favored by 6-7 points. I did it. My 8th graders love that. And that's about what Ken Pom has it as well. So get that win. Get that first marquee win under your belt, as Texas Tech will inevitably go on to have a good year in the Big 12. And something that will stick with you as you get into March. That is a home game you got to win. All right, you got it on the schedule at the right time, early enough where they shouldn't be clicking on full cylinders. And you might not be either, but you should be able to coast behind what will be a really good home crowd. That will show out for it. All right. 4:50 to go. Yeah, again, if there's one more icky play, I don't know if I can really. Here's Wagler. Come on, baby, finish it. God, he's good. The body control for this freshman who has skinny arms, but is pretty good at absorbing contact. If there were such thing as a Kylan Boswell, that's a weak foul call. If there was such thing as a Kylan Boswell on another team, he could body Wagler up and really disrupt him, but hasn't happened so far. But yeah, I can't. This game, I'm just going to go up and watch the rest of my dog, if you don't mind. From Jake, we can roll this team out minus Tommy and win on Tuesday, I think. Here's the thing. Even if Tommy doesn't play, I'm saying you should win. Yeah. You tell me right now, Tommy's not playing. Okay, fine. Win. It's going to be November 11th. You're at home. Texas Tech is a top 15, top 20 team. You're right now playing like top 5. So win the damn game. Like, Tommy or not, you should. All right, on that note, really good night. Sloppy few minutes here. I think you're probably still going to cover, but so time for me to go watch some old Jackass episodes of The Dog. Wife's away on a work trip to Singapore, so it's something that we can enjoy and not put that on my wife's plate to watch old Jackass episodes. But, sometimes you just got to laugh. But this Illinois team, a lot of fun tonight. This is Blake Fagbemi, the most athletic guy on the team, finding Ben Rickhouse for a take to put Illinois past the 100-point mark, 101-60. So before I get out of here, and as we about hit the under 4 timeout, got to remind you, the 200 level is brought to you by Hamilton Walkers in downtown Champaign. Steak, seafood, and spirits for an informal or formal dinner, whether it's a date night or pre or post-game meal. Hamilton Walkers in downtown Champaign. State Farm agent Brian Hansen online at brianismyguy.com. Life, auto, home, business renters, whatever your insurance needs, visit them online at brianismyguy.com. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. Give them a call at 217-841-4728 and join their maintenance program. No overtime or weekend fees and guaranteed same-day service with Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing. And finally, Owen Builders LLC. I'm on at owenbuildersllc.com for your next home improvement project. Check out a gallery of their work online and get a free quote while you're there at owenbuildersllc.com. Do me a favor for those that are watching, and there's plenty of you right now. I appreciate you. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever channel you may be listening or watching us on. I appreciate it. Tuesday night, I may be going to the game. So I will, through my Twitter feed, let y'all know if it'll either be a Tuesday evening, second half podcast or something on Wednesday. I'll let you guys know, which will be tricky because Wednesday is work, and then I'm driving to Chicago for Robert Plant. And excited for that. I haven't seen him since I saw Page and Plant in 97, I think. So I will find a way to get a podcast out not that long after the Texas Tech game. That I promise you. So whether it's live or post game, we'll do that. In the meantime, everybody, no football game tomorrow. So you get a nice day to just watch other college football teams, and Illinois recuperates before what should be 3 more wins. I mean, that's what they should do, and I think they will. So it could be a really good November, guys. It could be a really good November. If I asked you right now, is Illinois football and basketball going to go undefeated in the month of November? You might say yes. And wouldn't that be sweet? Now, UConn being the biggest hurdle to that. So how about undefeated through November 28th? And then we'll take our chances. But regardless, really good start for this Illinois basketball team. And it's been a fun couple of games so far. We'll see what happens next. But Tuesday, big opportunity. They'll get it done. They should get it done with a little bit of room to spare. And then we can really start talking about, okay, full strength. What does this team really look like? All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon. It is the 200 level.